Well, episode 12 of the Why Even Care podcast. Um, I hope that everybody watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening, maybe you'll end up watching it on YouTube. You don't think that this is a high production podcast because it's not. Maybe we figure some things out, we remove some things, we work things around, and I can say that I'm pretty happy with what we're doing. Uh, I like the space. Obviously, this space will only be used for single person podcasts. Uh, you might see me at someone's house or my house or somewhere else, but whenever it's just me here at the Why Even Care podcast, this will be the scene. Uh, so I did want to talk about a couple things. Coming up, we got a bunch of guests that are gonna come on. Uh, People from film, from acting, from people that are trying to make reading cool again. Uh, there are a lot of people that had said yes to coming onto the podcast. It's just about scheduling. It's about timing and agreeing on certain things, and it's hard to find people to have on the podcast at this point right now, just because we're trying to figure out what kind of direction we want to go, and we want to bring the best. I want to bring the best content, and I want to bring interesting people on that have interesting stories. Obviously, for those of you that talk to me one on one, I tell you guys who I want to have on, and why why I want to have them on. So it's just a matter of scheduling and figuring times out. So in the upcoming episodes, we'll have some good things. We'll have a recap of NFL games for the playoffs. We'll have some basketball stuff now that the NFL season is almost over. We'll have obviously building up to the baseball season, a lot of sports stuff. I want to have a lot of variety on the podcast and not just be sports or not just be uh, advice or just storytelling. I wanted to be everything at the same time. So we're trying to figure that out and have a balance of variety from episode to episode. But as I was going to say before, we have upcoming January the 20th, we will be going to Coney's Pizzeria for UFC 220, I believe. What we're gonna do is we're gonna gather up there. We're gonna try to record it, live podcast there. We'll see how it goes, but we want to give you guys the picture of how it is when we actually hang out off camera. Maybe interview some people there, get to meet a lot of people, show Coney's Pizzeria around, and how it is. And if you love the UFC, obviously that would be the place to go for pay-per-view events. And yeah, so if you have time Saturday, come down. We should be there between 5 and 10, I believe. If granted, this is what day is it today? Today is the 11th, January the 11th. I still have to get in contact with them, but if they don't let us record, we'll still go over there. We'll hang out, and then we'll end up doing something at either my house or someone else's house. We'll figure something out. But yeah, if you have time, come down. It'll be interesting to see everybody listen to the podcast, hang out, and listen. I'm open to ideas of what you guys think is cool, what you guys would like to see. Maybe you guys have interesting people that you think would be good on the podcast. Yeah, so that's January 20th on that Saturday. And then I'm trying to get Chewy on, trying to get him to not shy away from the camera and to show that he belongs in front of a camera, even though he doesn't think he does. So we got a lot of things coming up. So just stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, leave a like, leave a comment, whatever it is, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, all that good stuff. Everything is in the description. So yeah, so I wanted to talk about. So I with the podcast and everything, and trying to figure out time to do this and still work and still have a social life. It's kind of hard just because you want to do everything and you want to do everything right. But I realize there are not enough hours in a day. They say that when you have a career, uh, that's what you start saying. When you have a job, it's just let me go to work, let me go clock in and clock out, and then that's it, and then you leave it there. But when you have a career, which I'm not saying this is, but hopefully it builds up to it, there are not enough hours in a day because you want to record an extra episode. You want to work on something, meanwhile still having social life, meanwhile getting enough sleep, meanwhile going out and doing certain things. And so it's kind of hard right now, but it is what it is the grind of having a project that you enjoy. So you can't get discouraged. You just gotta stick through it and just do it. So doing this and then still hanging around the community and stuff, and going to, let's say, like the park, and trying to hang out with friends and just conversate with them, because text messaging is just, you're detached. You can send a message and then it kind of gets there's like no tone to it, there's no personality to it. So when you talk to someone in person, you can get like this different feeling, not to sound weird, but it feels good when you have an actual conversation with someone face to face. So I went down there and then figured out that they need coaching and they need another coach, and I had already said no because I'm trying to work on this and do other things. So Saturday comes along and I get asked if I can coach, and I say no, don't have enough time, I'm sorry. What do you call it? Don't have enough time, I'm sorry. There are things that I'm doing that need my attention, and I apologize, but I can't. And then Saturday in that night, I get in the afternoon, I get a text message, and it's one of my very good friends. I can say he's like a brother to me. He is a brother to me. You watching this, you know. He texts me and he's like, "Hey, yo, let's go to the playoff game." And I'm like, "Playoff game? Oh, the Rams are playing the Falcons." I'm like, "I don't know if I have time. I gotta see." And then miraculously, certain things fall into place that allow me to go to the game. So I said, "Yeah." So we got tickets to go to the Rams game, and we go, and it's actually, they were really good seats. It was only like $80 to sit behind the end zone, and it looks good. The Coliseum is one of those stadiums where there's no obstruction of view. So wherever you sit in the Coliseum, aside from maybe the corner of the end zone, like right field level, then you'll be fine. But if you're sitting anywhere like in the middle or on the left or high above, you can see everything perfectly. So we went, and it was a good experience. That friend of mine, he went in his brother's Falcons uniform, and he's not a Falcons fan, but he just did it, as a goof. And we end up going, and he actually got a pretty good positive response. There were a lot of people that would come up to him and be like, "Man, the pain, we're gonna get it back this season," or "I see you," like just positive things, right? And he didn't get anything from Rams fans. Rams fans were actually really good to him. We're watching the game. It's all good, and then as we're sitting down, there's a Falcons fans right behind us, and behind him there's this guy that he showed up to the game in a full Rams uniform. So he's got like a Rams jersey, he's got pads, he's got tight shorts, he's got the gloves, he's got the cleats, and he's got the helmet. So as he's yelling, and he's this bald guy, he's yelling, he's like, "Let's go Rams, let's go Rams." And as he's yelling, he has the helmet in his hand. So he's kind of like swinging it back and forth, and the guy behind us is telling his wife, he's like, "Man, he's got a helmet. He could use it as a weapon. He's a Rams fan. I don't want to get hurt." But he keeps swinging it. And so eventually he gets up, he turns around, and he's like, "Yo, bro, you got a helmet in your hand. You're swinging it, hitting me." And the guy's like, sit the fuck down. And the guy's like, what are you talk like? What are you talking about? I'm telling you that you're hitting me with the helmet. If you could just please stop, because it's like a weapon." And the guy's like, "Sit the fuck down." He's like, "You're in LA, bitch. Uh, you should be a Rams fan." And he tells him, he's like, "Look, I've lived in LA for 12 years, but I'm from Atlanta, so I like the Rams, but Atlanta's my team." And he's like, "Shut the fuck up. You ain't gonna do nothing." So then the guy, he's like in his face, and then this other old school looking guy comes down from maybe a section down to our left, and he runs down, and he's like, "Yo," he's like, "cut that shit out. We don't do that around here." He's like, that's not who we are. We show some respect to our opponents." He's like, "You're not gonna do that shit around here." So then that guy turns to him, and he notices he's like an old school kind of cholo looking guy, and he's like, "Nah, man, what the fuck? Us Rams fans gotta stick together." So he goes, "Nah, man." He's like, "We don't do that shit around here." He goes, so he looks at the Falcons fan. He's like, "Yo, man, nothing but respect, nothing but love. It's just a game." So then the guy goes, "Man, fuck this." So then the guy, the guy in the uniform goes, "Man, fuck this." And the guy's like, "You're not gonna do shit." So he takes off his jersey, and as he takes off his jersey, another guy steps in front of him, and he's like trying to stop him from punching each other. And he goes, "You're not gonna do that shit here." So then he calms that guy down. The dude with the helmet and the uniform sits down, doesn't say nothing till the rest of the game. So at that moment, I realized that there are some assholes in sports that give a bad rep to the rest of the fans. And I can't say that, "Oh yeah, I've been all good and dandy," but because I haven't. But as time passes, I begin to grow, and I begin to understand that it is just a game. But this guy showed me that maybe there is a lot of loyalty, there's a lot of respect in fans that I used to believe didn't have that it was just maybe bandwagon fans. But I see now that that's not the case. I see now that these guys show respect to their opponents, and they're not these assholes. And this guy behind us maybe was in like his mid-20s, mid-20s to late 20s. He was no older than 30. And it's not just these bad apples that rotten everything. So to me, it was that guy that gave everyone in my eyes a bad rep. But when you see something like that, and him to step up for a fan that's from another team and tell him, "Hey, look, it's all respect. There's no beef here." That showed me, he's like, "Hey, look, you're wrong in what you're thinking, and you just have to be a little bit more open-minded." But it was a cool experience. We were there. It was fun. Obviously, the Rams lost, and I, being neutral, being an Eagles fan, it doesn't really bother me. I don't really care. I just was happy to be at a football game in Los Angeles, and to see an actual playoff game. I have never had the privilege of going to a playoff game. So check that off my bucket list. And the next one's the Super Bowl. Hopefully, that'll be a couple years down the line. And then, so that happens, we go home, and then the craziest thing of this whole weekend happens right after. So I'm going home, and I take the street down, and instead I take a detour just because it looks like the street is super packed. So I end up passing by one of these small streets west. And when you take west, if you're going from Hollywood to, let's say, the 10 freeway, west becomes Buckingham. So I took Buckingham, and then it converted to west. So in that little uphill, it becomes west, and there's a stop sign right when you get there. And anyone that lives in this area, in the mid-city area, knows that little area. So I go, and I get to the stop sign, and as I'm driving, and I'll actually put up the video, so as I'm talking, you guys can see the video after when I explain it. I'm driving, and I see like this little thing in the middle of the road on the left side. So I'm going right, and he's on this side, so I'm going straight. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? And then I see like something turn and like look at me, because he looked at the lights. And I'm like, oh shit, it's a fucking animal. So my first instinct, because I have 2 cats, is fuck, hopefully it's not a cat. You get me? So I pull up and I look, and it's this little opossum, maybe average size. And I look and I'm like, oh shit, no, somebody hit him and he's still alive. So he turns as I'm pulling away, and I want to do something, but like just the fear of seeing an animal hurt, or like the feeling of seeing an animal hurt, just kind of got me. But I wanted to help. So he turns and his face is all bloody, and he's like yelling, and I'm like, fuck, I have to do something. So I leave, right? Because there isn't anything I could do at that time. So I leave, and right when I leave, again, don't like talking about this, but I like keeping things personal, but just for the sake of the story. So my girlfriend lives with me. So as I come home, I text her. I call her. I'm like, hey, look, there's an opossum. He got hit. And she goes, where? Let's go. I'm like, no. I can't fucking see animals. They're hurt. It breaks my heart. I don't know what to do. So she goes, well, I'm going. And I'm like, fuck, I can't be a little bitch and not help her out. So then as she's getting changed, I'm like, oh, what to do. So then I remembered, I'm like, yo, like my mom's pretty hardcore. So I go, and as she's going out, I'm like, okay, cool. Take the cage. So if you can grab them, you put them in the cage. And then she's like, oh, take a plastic bag. So she runs down, and then I tell my mom, I'm like, look, I'm scared of shit. I don't like animals. Like, I don't like seeing animals get hurt. Can you come with us? Because I don't know what to do, and I can't help out. I get freaked out. And she goes, typical mom. Just go. And I'm like, yo, I need some help. Like, we need some help. Like, come on. So she looks at my cousin, because my cousin lives with us too, and she goes, okay. So she gets up, and I tell her, can you get a plastic bag? So I'm going downstairs, and I get in the car, and we're all going. And then as we go, we pull up, and then as we get there, like I was telling her, and I was telling my mom that 15 cars might have passed, because that's one of those streets that even though it's small, a lot of cars end up passing. So, and you can see people go by it. So I'm like, man, hopefully we go and someone helped them. But when we got there, he was still there. So as we were pulling up, we were like, what the fuck? Like, how is it that so many people pass by and no one does anything? You just leave the animal injured there. So I get there, and I pull up, and I try to block the street, but I don't want to be an asshole. So I pull over to the right by the curb. And she gets out, my girlfriend gets out, and she's on the phone trying to like call animal shelters or emergency or whatever. And I'm like, close the fucking door. I got to move the car. And then I'm like, fuck. So then I go to the door, I close the door, and as I do that, my mom gets out, and my mom's like, oh, like he's hurt. So he's like, he at this point he had turned, so he was facing the opposite direction. And my mom pops up, and my mom's just like the clutchest person in the world. She just goes, and she takes him away. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? Oh my God. So once that happened, these fucking assholes cars just keep passing, and no one cares. No one stopped. No one did anything. So I'm like, fuck. So I get out. I get the cage. I run over there, and I'm like with my mom, like, put him in. And I can see his like face all like covered in blood, and he's like crying. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what the hell? So my mom's hands are covered in blood, and like, hopefully she doesn't have rabies. Just disclaimer. Hopefully, like, she's okay, which I hope she is. Well, I don't doubt she isn't, but so then she's there, and we're cleaning up, and we get in the car, and then we're like, oh, we have to find somewhere to take this animal. So my mom was like, go to this place. They should take care of him, and if you want, just drop me off so you guys can go and you guys can look for it. So we drop her off, and then we're calling everybody, and no one's picking up. No one treats opossums, and no one's being of help. So then we finally call this emergency center, and they give us a number to the animal shelter, and we tell the person on the phone that they don't answer. So then she's like, okay, give me a second. So she connects us to the guy that's there that works overnight, and we end up going to, I believe it was like Sotel and Pico, like a street after. And as we get there, we pull up, and or actually, let me retrace. As we're driving, you can hear the little opossum like cry, like, because he's gasping for air, and he's a fighter. So there's a part in the video, because we have a dash cam. There's a part of the video where you hear me like don't worry, little buddy, we'll get you. Like, we'll get you safe. You're gonna make it. You're a fighter. You'll be okay. But I'm like, fuck, like, what are they gonna do? Like, is he in good condition where he can come back? So as we get there, the guy pops up. He opens the door and he sees him. He takes him out of the cage. He puts him down and he sees that he's damaged. And as he pulls him out and he closes the cage, he's like, yeah, you know, it looks like his face is broken or his nose is broken because he can't breathe. He's gasping for air. It was either his jaw or something. So then as he was telling us that, then my girlfriend breaks down and she goes, she can't believe that there's a lot of asshole people that wouldn't do anything or that would hit an animal and not do something, try to help it, to just leave it there stranded. So then as she's breaking down, then I'm breaking down because I have this love for animals. So we're not experts in opossums. We're barely experts in cats. You get me? We're trying to get, as we go on, we're trying to get things right. But all we knew at that moment was that we were trying to help. And obviously we ended up figuring out a bunch of things after. But I mean, what we asked the guy was, look, if you can't heal him, can you just like put him down so he doesn't have to suffer? And it's one of those things, and at that moment that you say it, you kind of don't think about it because you're just thinking about the animal and for him not to suffer. But after reflecting about it for a couple minutes, for reflecting about it after a couple hours when I got home and I was just thinking about it, it's like one of those things that, fuck, like what if it was a human and there were no people that would treat humans? And if your nose is broken, you can't breathe, they just say, hey, put him down. That's kind of like fucked up. At least in my eyes, that's if we expect us, like ourselves, to treat each other better, we should also do it for animals who are helpless, who can't do anything. So yeah, sometimes, like for example, we have the cats and the cats piss us off, but it's not in the position where we're going to hit them, we're going to treat them bad because they're animals. They can't speak our language. So in the case of this opossum, it was just like, we want to help. We want to do everything we can. We want to like make sure that they're okay, but in the best thing for him, because how are you going to help him breathe again if his jaw is broken, if his nose is broken? Like, what can you do? You get me? And the easiest solution was to put him down. And even though it sucks for me to say it, it's just one of those things that you have to come to grips that it's the best thing for him. Or her. I mean, it might have been a girl, but who knows? But it's just, it sucks. And the reality of it is that they're not that. There are a lot of good people in the world, but there are not a lot of. It's not enough. You get me? There's still a lot of people that just drove, like I said, just drove by and didn't do anything, didn't call animal services or anything like that. They just left it there, and he could have died. You get me? And I take responsibility for it at the very beginning, because at the very beginning when I pulled up, I could have done something, but I did get home and I just try to figure something out. You get me? It's just the least we can do. We after that situation, we were talking about maybe volunteering for animals at an animal shelter and stuff like that, mainly for her. Obviously I have like basketball coaching and stuff like that, but that's one of the things that if this podcast begins to grow, it's just like, look, there are a lot of ways that I want to help, and the animals are not at the end of that list. They're in the middle or at the very beginning, because they need help too. If we don't care about them, then who is? You get me? Yeah, he could have maybe crossed the street and got into somewhere else and died of starvation. Who knows? But at least that's human nature. That's natural causes. That isn't because we hit an animal and we left him there to die. So that was eventful and that was crazy. And we called the next day and tried to figure out, but there was no records of the opossum. So we're assuming they put him down and like so he didn't suffer. So that was cool. And then after that, we ended up going to the LA Zoo lights, which were completely a waste of time in my eyes. If you have an opportunity to go to the LA Zoo lights and you have kids, fine. If you're in a relationship and your girlfriend asks you to take her to the LA Zoo lights, tell her to watch this podcast and remind her that I said that was a waste of time and a waste of money. Now, it wasn't expensive. It was cool. Obviously, it's always cool to hang out and spend some time together, and it was just one of those walking things. But there were maybe two things that we saw. You get me? It wasn't, wow, they put lights. If I want to see lights, I could just go down Wilshire and see trees covered in lights. You get me? I'm not gonna pay $16. Now I know to trust my gut and not do things like that. You get me? But I could have used that money to go watch a movie or something, or go bowling or something. Who knows? But what do you call it? You have to make certain decisions, and um, you have to sacrifice for the greater good. Uh, yeah, so that happened, and then Monday came along, and I realized what happened with the opossum. I realized that um, I want to do this podcast, and I want this podcast to grow so I can help people, and I can help kids mainly. Um, but I started thinking, and I was like, man, like, what kind of person would I be if I say I want to help people, and the first situation that happens and they ask me to help, I say no. So I rethought it. I talked about it with my another good friend of mine who works at the park, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna coach. I'm gonna take the team that doesn't have a coach, that the coach quit on them, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna try to figure out the schedule. I'm gonna try to still record podcasts and help these kids out. And you get me. Try to get something positive out of this. Obviously, helping them is positive, but try to get something for the podcast in this, and to show that, hey, look, this is what I mean. I mean that I want this to grow so I can help them out. So, or we're gonna try to create maybe like a promotional video for the rec center and for the kids, and to get more exposure for the program, and to get more kids involved, and to give them somewhere to go when they don't have anything to do. You get me? What, during the summertime, during the fall, during the spring, whichever time it is, just give them something more. Because I was one of those kids before that I would go to the park, and it could have been just one bad apple, one bad friend that would have told me, hey, look, let's go get in trouble. Let's go do this. It'll be fun. You get me? So basketball is one of those things that kept me out of trouble a lot. So and it taught me like discipline, and how to like respect, and what it means to have someone like a mentor. So whenever that opportunity presents itself with someone that I believe is special in my eyes, I try to take that and to teach him, hey, look, this is the way I did things, and these are the advices that I give you, and take them and do with them whatever you want. But it makes me happy to know that I can at least give you advice the same way that people gave me advice. So I decided to end up coaching, and it's going good. Volunteer work is kind of hard, just because it's something that you don't get paid for. So you have to be self-motivated to do it. So it's hard just trying to schedule everything around. But at the end of the day, it's the most fun thing I can do. And that's actually crazy when you think about it, that it's the best part of probably the day aside from recording a podcast. Work is fun. You get me? It's work though at the end of the day. And after I get home from work, and either I don't record this and I get a chance to go over there and help them out, it's fun. So I'm gonna enjoy it. You guys are gonna see a lot of that stuff coming up. Like I said before, we're gonna have a lot of people come on and help us out, and hopefully grow this, and then we'll see where that goes. We're trying to get some. Like I said, the studio that you guys think is a studio is not actually a studio. We converted it. We had a lot of cool things around here, so it'll change from time to time, but it's good. It's going good. I don't want you guys to think that I personally am either making money off the podcast or anything like that. It's a slow grind, and it'll get there. And anyone that wants to do something, just ask. You get me? It's I want to help. So whether it's you starting a podcast, you starting a YouTube channel, you starting a Twitch stream. For those of you guys that saw the episode with Mr. Felix, he's actually changed his name to Stump G, STUMPG. .tv or TV or something. We'll have that in the information. He changed his name from El Senor to Stump G. So we'll put that out there. Like I said, just subscribe, follow, do whatever it is. We want this to grow. We want this to grow because listen, to you who's listening right now, maybe right now you're not doing anything. Maybe you're still in high school. You get me? Hopefully no one in middle school is listening to this. You guys shouldn't be listening. You guys should be doing your homework. Maybe you're still in high school and you're maybe a junior or a senior in high school and you're thinking of what college you should go to. What's the next step after graduating high school? And you guys always known me that I didn't go to college. It was just one of those things that it wasn't in my cards. Obviously, if it was in my cards, I would have taken it, no doubt. But you guys are thinking of, hey, what do I do? What can I do? Ask questions. Ask, and people will help you. People will be there for you. People won't let you down. You get me? It's just a matter of who you ask. And if you're older, if you're already like working, if you're obviously older than I am, that doesn't mean it's too late to start something. You guys just have to do it. And it's nerve-wracking. You guys, like, it might look, at least on camera, that everything is fine and dandy when we're recording and we're asking these questions, and it might look natural. Some of you guys actually might know me really well and know that it isn't as easy as it looks. But it's kind of nerve-wracking when you're about to record and you're like, oh man, I gotta do this by myself. Do I look like a weirdo? Do I I'm gonna talk to myself and people are gonna hear me talking to myself. There's no one to talk to. But it's one of those things that I get nervous every time I record, but at the end of the recording I enjoy it. So if you made it this far through the video, I want to thank you. If you made it this far in the recording, I want to thank you. Spread the word. Let's grow this. Let's just make this as big as possible, because like I said, like I was gonna say, if you're someone that's trying to start something and you want to get exposure, the bigger this gets, I might hit you up and say, hey, look, come on, I see what you're doing. I want you to put out there what you're doing, put out your work. You get me? And platforms like this help. Trying to figure out maybe other platforms to get on. So it's all about encouragement. It's all about just doing something. And I want to create a platform for people to come on and promote their work. And obviously not everyone can come on, because we all know that some of us do things and we might not follow through with it, or it might not be a good idea. You need someone to tell you that it's not a good idea. But if I see it's a good idea and you're working hard and you see it's a good idea, message me and we'll talk. We'll have a conversation. We'll figure it out, and we'll have you on and we'll discuss it and we'll create exposure. But yeah, I guess that's all I want to say. Again, reminder: Saturday, January 20th, Coney's Pizzeria. If you don't know where it is, Google it. Everyone has Google. Even if you have an iPhone, you have Google. Okay? Yeah. From 5 to 10. Any more details, just send me a DM. I'll let you guys know. We'll figure that out. Listen, I am not rich. I am poor. I am as poor as possible. You get me? So what I am gonna say is this: as this grows, I will try to share the wealth. When I say poor, I mean not like dirt poor, like I don't have anything to eat. When I say poor, I just mean that I can't help anybody right now. You get me? This is the only thing that I can provide. So when we go there, we'll record. If you don't want to be on camera, we'll make sure of it. But again, just show up, and you'll see. It'll be fun. We might have some shirts that we'll raffle out if anybody's interested. But yeah, just show up and support. So again, thank you for listening, and don't forget to leave a like if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube at Why Even Care Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. Leave a like, leave a review. We're trying to hit certain numbers, so all the support that we can get will be awesome. So till next time.